States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. No, I don't have an agenda in here. Do I? That's all right. So let's start with, I assume, the tax,
Yes, that's my first public hearing.
the classification first.
Okay, so basically, I don't know if you remember what I talked about last year with our recommendations. Our recommendations are the same. We suggest keeping our residential factor of 1 that Barre's always had, because otherwise, if we change that, it would be shifting tax burden from the residential area into commercial and industrial, which if you look at the breakdown in the middle of the LA5, you can see that we're 87% of our income is residential, and 5 and 2% are commercial and industrial. So we recommend keeping our residential factor of 1. As for the other options for shifting tax burden, we recommend not adopting the residential exception, because what that does is basically it exempts owner-occupied homes for up to 20% of their average value, but it shifts that burden onto vacation homes and seasonal homes. So basically that's good for areas that have a lot of tourism and seasonal traffic, but Barre doesn't have that, so we recommend not adopting that. Third option was to whether or not to institute open space discount, but Massachusetts has Chapter 61 in lieu of open space, so pretty much anything that would be open space in Barre is already heavily discounted by, they're valued at 25% or less of their normal value. So we really don't actually have any revenue from open space. So because of that, we recommend not adopting the open space discount. And the last potential option would be instituting a small business discount. And what that normally does is it applies to businesses that are valued at less than $1 million and have 10 or less employees, and it can discount them by up to 10% of their tax obligation. But this applies to the property owner, not the business owner. And this would also shift the tax burden onto other industrial and commercial areas in Barre. And like I said, you can see in our breakdown here in the middle, we've got 2% income from industrial and 5% income from commercial. So we recommend not applying the small business discount. And all of these are unanimous for the Board of Assessors. So are there any questions? I know I threw a lot of information at once, but...
Not for me. Matt or Dilla, do you have any questions?
No, this sounds just like the last time that we spoke on this matter, Mr. Warren.
Exactly. I'd just like to let him go through it again so those in town that haven't heard it before get an explanation of what it is. So I'd be looking for a motion, gentlemen.
Could you identify last year's rate and this year's rate and what you are recommending?
When you say, you mean the tax rate?
Yeah.
I believe it was 17.25 last year. And what is today's rate for this year's rate? I had it written down. I'm sorry. I don't have it readily available. Basically, we're not recommending any sort of changes to the way we've always been doing it. Give me 1 second. Okay, yeah, I apologize. I don't seem to have it on record unless I can find it here. Current tax rate is 1787. There it is. So we went from, I believe, 1725 last year to 1787. Yeah, and I've already stated our recommendations as for whether or not we want to change anything.
Thank you. Any more questions, Matt, or conversation, discussion on that?
Well, I thought was 1787, and I just wanted to confirm if, because we haven't certified the FY21 rate, correct? That's exactly what we're doing now?
Correct. Once we do the
So,
classification, they
That's what I
can,
wanted to find out is, how did the tax rate change from last year to this year, or did it change? And it just so happens randomly, we end up with the exact same number.
Well, it hasn't changed from, are you referring to last year, like the calendar year or fiscal year? Because the 1787 would have applied from July 1st of last year to June, no, I'm sorry, it would apply for the last fiscal year, whereas we haven't determined the 2021 fiscal year tax rate yet. We're still in prelim valuation for that. So that the 1787 was for July 1st of last year into June 30th of this year, and we haven't determined the FY 2021 tax rate yet. If that makes sense.
Okay, so, and this is why I'm just trying to make sure, because I found it interesting that it was already online, yet we're currently just setting that formally. And that's why I was confused as to what they were referencing online, and I'm trying to get to the right, I don't know, link I was on, because the link I went to is a private link that pulled the data from I don't know where. And so I recognize that it's not it was from a realty site. And it listed all of the tax rates for all the municipalities.
If-
And it said 1787, so I was just curious if we haven't formally said it, where they got that number.
The 1787 was for the previous fiscal year 2020, where the fiscal years are named after the year in which they end. So that was actually the previous calendar year that started in 2019 as of July 1st and went to June 30th of 2020. So we don't actually have a tax rate yet set for July 1st of this year into June 30th of next. It's a little weird the way that it's structured. Basically, we send out preliminary tax bills before the final rate is set, and then we charge based on taxes are based on what we think would be owed, and once we have this classification hearing, then we can charge whatever the remainder is. So we don't actually have a definitive tax rate set just yet. If that makes sense.
I'm confused. I thought that this meeting was to set that tax rate. You were proposing a number for that tax rate, and this meeting was doing that. So I'm confused. What period of time are we covering with what you're putting before the board today?
from July 1st past until June 30th next.
So for fiscal year 21?
Yes.
Yes.
And Matt, if we change these classifications, it's going to shift the tax burden between residential and commercial.
I'm not suggesting changing classification.
But if we do that, that will change the tax rate to one or the other, or both. So they can't set the rate until we determine what percentage of the burdens are going where.
No, but they proposed a rate based on those recommendations. So if we don't make any changes based on your recommendations, you already have a number, correct? Per $1,000 valuation?
Not necessarily. Basically, we have to determine, like he said, we have to determine what portion each sector in Barre is going to pay of the overall tax burden, and then once we decide on that, then we can calculate what the actual tax rate will be. So
Okay, so this is just the classification hearing, not
yes,
all inclusive.
right.
Thank you for the clarification. That's where I got myself confused.
Okay, sorry, I probably didn't do a very good job of explaining that.
No, I
I
don't.
just misremembered past process.
That's all right. So this is, once again, we're just doing the classification. Once this is done, then they have the ability to set the rate. So I'd be looking for a motion. I agree with the form as we have it, which should be a factor of 1, no to the open space discount, no to the residential exception, and no to the commercial exemption.
Well, you have to open the public hearing for public comment now.
Oh, I apologize. We'll open this up to public comment then at this point, since this is officially the public hearing for this. Does that mean we're not going to be able to vote on this today?
No, you can. You
Okay.
just have to open the public
Because
hearing
I thought we always did it at the same time.
officially.
How many people do we have?
We just have one person in attendance right now.
I get used to it up on the big screen. I can see some of that.
I
That's all
know,
right.
I forgot my laptop.
That's quite.
Here, but on the screen it looks really nice. I'm gonna show you once I tie off this wire. I'll bring you over to the tree. How many of you guys were?
Who was that?
I think that came from Dylan.
Oh.
So if there's anybody who has any public comment, they can raise their hand.
I can speak on behalf of the attendee. She told me she will not be asking any questions.
Okay. So we only have one attendee.
So we have one attendee, and we have no questions, then we'll close our public comment period, and we would be looking now for the motion.
I make a motion, we accept the full recommendation of the assessors, the Board of Assessors.
I will second that motion, please.
So we have motion and a second to accept the recommendation from Board of Assessors, which was just outlined for us. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Matt Urban, yes.
Dylan Clark, yes.
Greg O'Sullivan, yes. That will be unanimous. I can see opposed.
Very much, yes.
You're welcome.
Thank you. All right.
And so the second public hearing doesn't start until 7 p.m., so
Second public hearing for
the liquor license.
the liquor license. Which, have they already been informed?
Yes.
Okay. So let's move on to the Coronavirus Relief Act Municipal Program Sub-Grantee Agreement. Basically, if I'm getting this correct, this is an agreement to allow us to let the schools spend the money that we allocated to buy computers and laptops for our teachers and students here in Barre. Is that correct?
Yes.
Has this been looked over by town council?
So this is the standard form that's been used by all of the towns, so it's been looked over by other legal counsel, but
But not ours.
no. I mean, it's a cookie cutter. Every town that's using funds for their schools is using the same form, so I don't have any doubts that there's an issue with it.
You guys browse through this.
Is this the community compact cabinet?
No.
No.
No, this is for the CARES Act, so a couple weeks ago, the schools, they requested a certain amount of money from us for their laptops and Chromebooks for the students and the educators, and, the board decided not to go with the full amount and decided to do the $125,000, so this document right here, is just for Greg to sign that allows us to allow the school to spend that money. It's just that formality piece that we have to go through.
Great, thank you for clarifying.
So we went through our CARES Act money, we used up most of it, left a small portion on the table, and we agreed to allow this portion to go towards the schools for Chromebooks and for laptops. So that's what's in front of us, if you guys want to make a motion on it.
Greg, can you tell if, reading that, it doesn't I'm assuming the agreement is intended to kind of pass on effort and liability of any warranty claims or something so that we're not caught in the middle. Am I correct?
Right,
In other words, they can buy it, but then they gotta handle all the vendor work.
yes, yeah, so that's exactly what it is. It takes it out of, my responsibility for procuring everything, so it's just, it puts it in the school's hands to procure everything and to set it up and to go through all of that formality.
Will they also take the risk if they make a paperwork mistake that the town of Barre is not liable for not meeting an expenditure deadline for the grant? In other words, if for some reason they don't pay and process an invoice by our grant deadline, they can't come after the town, right? And say that the town said we would pay so much money for something and then, do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't want it to
I
be
do.
that they don't do their paperwork timely and all of a sudden they ask the town to cover the money that we're no longer getting from the grant because we missed a deadline.
Section 10 says availability of funds. All compensation provided by this agreement is subject to the continued availability of funds for the CVR-F-MP program and to the continued eligibility of Commonwealth and municipality to receive both funds. The district shall indemnify, defend, or hold the municipality harmless against any claims, demand, liabilities, actions, cause of actions, costs, or expenses caused or arising out of the activities by the district related to this contract, but not limited to the breach of this agreement, the negligent or misconduct of the district or the district's agents. To the extent permitted by law, the municipality shall indemnify, defend, and hold the district harmless, similar language. But it looks as though the extent of this payment is allowed by that CARES Act money.
All right, thank you.
So I didn't know, I hadn't seen it before now, so I've looked through most of it, and I assume us holding up is gonna be a nuisance because they wanna move forward with the computers, obviously.
Right.
But I'm not nervous about it, I'm not worried about it. It says the purchases have to be done no later than December 30th. They have to retain the records. It looks good.
It's your basic contract, just to spell out everything and protect the town because we are allowing them to use that money.
Greg, are you looking for a motion?
Yes.
I'd make a motion that we authorize Greg to sign on behalf of the board for the municipal/school district agreement regarding the CARES Act funding we are transferring to the schools.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll second that motion, please.
All right, I have a motion to second to allow me to sign this agreement with the school district. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Matt Urban, yes.
Dylan Clark, yes.
And Greg O'Sullivan, yes. And we have 10 minutes till our next portion here.
Is this a good time to talk about some of these grants that have come our way?
Oh, well, I would be happy to talk about those grants. It's been a very good week for the town. We've gotten a handful of grants between my office, the police department, and the fire department. So it started off with Chief Carbone being awarded the Burns Justice Assistant grant for local law enforcement. And that will provide the police station with security cameras, the CCTV, and throughout the entire station, which will allow the police department to finally use, some of the facilities that they have not been able to use without surveillance. So that was a $38,000 grant. We also had, Chief Carbone earned a $12,000 grant that provides his department with a LiDAR gun and patrol enforcement through 2021. I believe it's a program, and he can speak better to this, but it's a program where they're going to try out a different method of patrolling. And so they received funds for that LiDAR gun and patrolling efforts into the next calendar year. And the grant that I received for the town is the Community Compact IT grant. That grant will allow us to digitize public records. So that was an $80,000 grant that I will be working with the town clerk on, getting a lot of our records digitalized. I think this year we've especially learned how important it is to have access to digital records. With a lot of staff having to work from home, the potential of, the unknown of working from home in the future. So this will be a really great opportunity for us to get a lot of our documents digitalized. And the fire department received a grant for 2 rescue, let me check what, he just messaged it to me recently, let me see. It was a $2,700 grant for 2 new rescue saws. And so that was last week.
Excellent, very good.
So now I think I've been tracking what the town has been getting for grants, and this fiscal year we're at about $250,000 for grants.
Very good, very, very good. What percentage you think of our documents will be put online with that 80,000?
That'll be a conversation I have to have with the town clerk, but I'm thinking the majority of our records will be able to be digitalized with that.
Excellent. I assume
Like the
most of the things they
vast.
use all the time, and old
Absolutely.
stuff will be last, I would think, but
Absolutely, yeah.
excellent, that's really good.
Yes. so-
Something we've been talking about, finding money for her to digitize things, and that takes a big chunk out of what we'd have to spend.
Yes.
Very good job. Do we have, just let us know when Sue pops up, and we can click her in whenever she gets here. She gets here early.
Okay.
Anybody else have something they want to bring up for a selectman report or brief discussion? We have about 7 minutes to the next person's due for the liquor license.
Yeah, it had been brought to my attention, and again, this would be more to maybe set up an agenda item at the next meeting, but kind of just set the stage for the initial. Is access to Zoom meetings after the fact? In other words, the recorded Zoom meeting? Some people have wondered how they could, say, watch a planning board meeting if they miss the live Zoom, as some of them appear like they might be available via BCTV or loaded on the My Town Government down kind of with the meeting minutes or something as a link. But I'm not quite sure how we may be making sure those Zoom meetings are available for public access. So maybe you could elaborate a little, Jessica, on what you do know, and the next meeting might be about how we can go about making it more available or letting people know where to find it.
Yeah, so from what I know, based on the governor's orders, is that a meeting, as long as it's accessible in live time, so this for example, we are making it accessible to the public live. We do have it, luckily we are able to have it recorded, but if people have that access to it remotely live, it does not need to be recorded and produced at a later time, just based off of the governor's orders. If it was not able to be live streamed, that's when it would have to be recorded and uploaded at a later date.
Okay.
So that's my understanding, but we can definitely have a conversation about it next Monday about, encouraging boards and committees to use that recording feature, because we do have it. It is technology that we pay for and that we have access to, so it wouldn't hurt to utilize it to its fullest extent.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something maybe we could explore, get some initial thoughts on the effort it would take, so that at the next meeting we can try to figure out, next steps we could take to have this available for those that couldn't attend at the time that it was scheduled.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's all I had, Greg.
Okay. I'd express my frustration again that the committees aren't willing to come meet in this room where we could arrange to have them broadcast on, Barre TV. I don't understand why they resist that. But I would ask them again to consider using this room for their meetings so we can arrange to have them hopefully broadcast and put right on to the Barre TV. Dylan, anything you want to kick around for a minute? We still got a couple.
Well, I'm getting a message from our friend Claire saying that she's having trouble logging on to this meeting again. I was hoping that she wouldn't come across these troubles again like she did last meeting, but it looks like she is. So I don't know if there's anything we can do there to help her get on this meeting.
I saw that she had called in. I saw that her phone number popped up. But it's not here anymore, so I don't know if she ended her call.
Finally, the tree had a leader that they needed, this Christmas tree is gonna give everybody in the shade. They may or may not revolt, and I might no longer own the house anymore.
She's still trying.
Yeah, I don't know why Claire is having that issue. It's like, poor Claire, she's the only one.
Yeah, she sent me a screen grab, and on that screen grab it says, quote, "The host has declined your webinar registration."
Yeah, she sent me the same one, and yeah, I don't know why. I would never decline Claire's from calling into the meeting, so and I've looked in my settings too on Zoom, and it doesn't show that anybody is blocked, so I don't know what the issue is.
And are we able to send Claire in this case an invite directly to the meeting that might have a different URL than the sort of generic meeting URL that might be posted? Like, are we able to invite her
Right.
specifically? Maybe that can get around that.
I can give it a shot. I don't know if it'll be different because the meeting has already started.
Yeah.
The kids love fun. I hear this super.
She did indicate to me today that she wanted to be involved or be on when we had the liquor license discussion.
Yeah, she
So.
she reached out to me too. Okay, so I sent her a more formal invite, so we'll see if that works. It looks like Sue Mason is here as well.
Okay, we'll just hold her on for 1 minute. See if Claire can get up and running. Dylan, could you shoot Claire a message and tell her she's had an invite sent to her? I'm having trouble opening my messenger, or I would do the same.
Yep, I did send her that.
Okay, great.
And she is called in right now, so I do have the capacity to allow her to talk through the phone. So-
Okay. Well, why don't we unmute her and see if she wants to just talk by phone?
Claire, we brought you in. If you want to unmute yourself,
You know, they use the shadow app.
and give it a try. Okay, Claire is here.
Yes, that was the feedback, Claire. Unmute your computer.
And mute your TV.
I got in with what you sent me.
Excellent.
Good.
Okay, let's bring,
So I don't know what the difference is.
let's bring Sue in now. We've kept her waiting a couple minutes.
And did it, whatever it was.
Okay. Sue, welcome. Could you guys mute your mics, please? Whoever has the background noise. Sue Mason, welcome.
If you want to unmute yourself.
Sue, I don't know if you can hear us. You're showing up as muted.
She just logged off, so.
Well, she's logged off. Perhaps she'll log back in.
Hope so.
Looks like she's back.
Yeah, been talking about for you. Like, so much younger.
Spoke too soon. Looks like she's gone again. Oh,
Oh, nope, she's just
maybe
in
she
there.
is.
I mean, you're just jealous. Let's all just acknowledge it. We're all jealous. Right, go back in now.
Dylan, I'm guessing that's your mic with the background noise? Thank you. Sue, welcome. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Okay. So you've come looking to have a sip and paint class is what you're looking for?
yes.
Okay. I looked at the application, everything looks good, but Jessica says that there is an issue with your proximity to the church for us being able to issue a license because you're within a 500-foot distance from the church.
Yes.
And you found out about that, and you need to go to, I think, the assessors so you can notify the abutters to have a hearing? Okay, Matt and Dylan, you got anything you want to talk about with this application outside of that?
Other than that, no. That's a beautiful space over there on the corner of Pleasant and West Street. It's excited to see that there's activity happening over there. I didn't really know what was. I've never heard of the Barre Art Center before, so
And it's been a project.
this is cool.
Yeah. I'm gonna leave the lights on. If you drive by the house tonight, you can peek in, you will see the art room.
Excellent. I know my daughters have
Lighting up.
partaken in classes like this, and they very much enjoy it. So I think it'd be a welcome event, a welcome business here in town. And I hope this goes well for you as far as, going through notifying the abutters and getting, I'm assuming it's a variance that they need to give you, I'm not sure. But as far as I'm concerned, you wouldn't have any holdups from me once those hurdles have been met. And I just didn't know if the guys had any other comments other than that, but there's not a lot else we can do tonight.
Could you just clarify to the general public, what you meant about her going to the assessor's office and contacting abutters?
Go ahead, Jessica.
Yeah, so, since under Mass General Law, you cannot have a liquor license within 500 feet of a school or a church. And so, based off of our calculations, this location, and it happens, falls within that 500 feet. I mean, if you look at where some of the other businesses in the downtown are located, you can see that this is not gonna be the first time that we've seen something like this. So after speaking with the assessor's department today, she's going to need to contact their office for the next steps, which will include notifying abutters. And they will go through, the assessor's office will go through their process to allow her to still continue with the business, or the liquor license portion of the business.
So she can get like her neighbors saying, I don't have a problem with it, and that kind of
Yes.
allows her to,
Right, and that'll allow her to come back to us, and then, you know, you can make a vote on this once that portion is done, and, you know, just to make sure that there's no other violations of abutting properties.
okay. Thank you, I just wanted to understand the process better as well.
Just out of curiosity, if she was running a business without a liquor license, is she allowed to have, say, BYOB? You can't do
No,
that? I
we
didn't know
don't.
if that was permissible, something like that or not.
The town of Barre does not have a BYOB bylaw, so.
So that would have to make the bylaw change
Yep.
for us, okay. Just checking, trying to find a loophole for you, but it's not there.
I wouldn't want it anyhow. I wouldn't want it.
Okay.
Because I don't want people to like bring 2 bottles of wine, let's say, in a 3-hour class.
I think typically when there's a BYOB, you have a corkage fee and you serve them. So they have to present it to you and you would serve it to them. So you would still serve them and monitor what you do. But it's not applicable because we don't have the bylaw that allows it. So
That's what you're saying, yeah.
we won't waste any more time on it.
So I have a question.
Sure.
So after I contact the assessors, do I meet with you again for the next meeting?
Yes, as soon as you have everything accomplished that you need to, then you need to come back before us. So you let Jessica know as soon as you have confirmation, because we need to get this posted on our agenda, typically by a Thursday. But, you know, if we have a meeting on Monday, it's going to be the Thursday before.
Okay. So I would have to, I believe so, you send all your abutters a notice, correct?
I would assume that's what's going on. I don't know the exact process in this, but there's probably also a public hearing involved.
I know Jesse is still on the call, so if Jesse, if you have more insight on the assessor's side.
I don't really, you already pretty much said everything that I would have been able to say.
All
Okay.
right, that's all right. We'll take it from here then. So,
Okay, and I'm sure Jessica can look into it more for you and try to find any answers you might need during the week. She's the best suited to do that, between herself and Sandra Hood. They can, you know, find out what you need to do and get the process, maybe talk to town council, make sure it's done properly, so that we don't hold you up any longer than we have to.
well, I'm hoping to open in the spring, because I just don't know about this COVID.
Exactly.
So you just have to wait out the, you know, the government after the war's on. Because by the spring, we don't know what they're gonna say.
Well, hopefully they'll back off this stuff soon is my hope. But we'll see.
But no, I was just gonna say, it's just, I really, the kids will love it.
I think so. I think everybody would like it, and I think it would be a very welcome addition to Barre. And, you know, I applaud you for coming up with it. It's a good idea.
Thank you. I was a photographer for 30 years. So I said, you know, this would be a great location, you know, the kids would love it, so.
I hope it works well for you. And we'll see you soon when you get through with your notifications or whatever else it is you need to do. But like I said, hopefully if you have questions, contact Jessica in the office and she can try to get answers for you.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Just double check also to make sure that if she's gotta come back before us, we know if she's got, you know, is she gonna have to do another 14-day public notice or some type of notice in that process? I guess if we haven't technically closed this, I'm not sure, but we might be able to table it, which I think in public hearings, if you table it, you save the additional public hearing requirements because you're continuing a previously scheduled public hearing. If we close it or take action on it in some other way, then I think it requires her to start over.
You are right now.
Well, we haven't closed it, but we can certainly table this.
I make a motion to table this.
I'll second the motion to table this.
Motion is second to table. Any further discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All those in favor?
Dylan Clark, yes.
Matt Urban, yes.
Greg O'Sullivan, yes. So that'll table it, preserve it, so it can be reopened at this point in the future.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Susan.
Okay, bye-bye.
Jessica, do you have anything else before we, look, Jessica has nothing else for us, so if you guys don't, I'd look for the appropriate motion.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
I second that.
Motion is second to adjourn. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for vote. All those in favor?
Dylan Clark, yes.
Matt Urban, yes.
Greg O'Sullivan, yes. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Take care. Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Painless.